when I see an amazing investment opportunity, I talk about this amazing investment opportunity. I talk about Aduro Clean Technologies on this YouTube channel. Here is the playlist of videos that I made about Aduro Clean Technologies. Over 58 videos. The ticker symbol for Aduro Clean Technologies is two ticker symbols. Canadian ticker symbol ACT on the Canadian Stock Exchange and ACTHF on OTC. Now, if you don't think it's a good investment opportunity, you don't have to watch the video. You move on to other investment opportunities. However, if you like this investment opportunity, this is a starting point for you, and you will do your own due diligence. You will not just buy the stock because I talk about it, correct? So in this video, I will play comments by Eric Appelman that he made during the Aduro webinar, which was a 1 hour long webinar. And the link to the entire 1 hour webinar is in the description below. In this video, I am only showing you Eric Appelman comments. Not all of them, but the ones that I think are the most important. I want to show you one comment that was sent to me by Omnivest. Mr. Appelman is a genius, folks. Amazing addition, because he recently joined Aduro. The dude knows his stuff. Let's keep adding talent like this. He's saying this after listening to the webinar. That is linked in the description below, the full webinar. In fact, all four did outstanding, super impressed. All 4 people in the webinar. And the video was well done. Best Aduro presentation yet. 100% agree. Easy to understand and explains well what Aduro will be doing via plastic recycling. Remember, that's just one vertical. They also have an oil vertical, so he's just saying only one vertical. And it looks like 3 to 4 additional patents are in the works just for the plastic recycling vertical. If you're a true investor in Aduro and you truly understand what you are holding at the current share price of 88 cents, he's talking US, and you sell for anything less than $10, you need to have your brain checked. I totally agree. With that being said, I own almost 1 million shares. $10 would be $10 million. I'm holding tight to my shares. With that being said, I hope you enjoy Eric Appelman's comments during the webinar.
And then one of them was Aduro. And when they joined us about 2 years ago, at first we didn't quite understand what they were doing, and then we did some questioning, and I said, okay, well, if that is what you are doing something absolutely fabulous and outstanding. I've never seen it. So I gave them 2 years to fail, and they failed to fail. And then the rest is history. I decided to join, and that's why I'm here and have the honor to speak to you today. For me, this was a proposition not to refuse, and very specifically went over, and Marcus Drukstad explained me their technology about 2 years ago, said this can't be true. And after 2 years, it was still true. It was even more true than what I heard first. And maybe I shall take you to that, because it all boils really down to what is in it for the people that use our technology. And there are a couple of benefits that I think are absolutely overwhelming anything that is in the market today. So let me start in this picture. You see here the 3 steps in recycling. On the left, you start to collect your plastic waste and to sort it and to clean it. Then you do our magical treatment, and then you have to post-treat it to make sure that somebody can pick it up and do something with it. Now, if we go to the left-hand side, the big issue with many of the chemical recycling technologies that you have today, but also with the mechanical recycling technologies, is that they rely on very attractive, nice feedstocks. But remember, we're talking waste here. So the chance that you are going to find that nice feedstock is pretty small. You may find it in some post-production waste. You may find it into return bottles, for instance. That is pretty decently described. But most waste is really waste. It is a mixture. Now, unfortunately, as soon as you start to work with mixtures, you end up with mixtures which is usually the lowest average in terms of properties. And that is where our technology comes in. Because contrary to all the other technologies, we can actually take pretty dirty streams to a point that we even can take residues, which cost you next to nothing, or where you probably even paid to take care of it. And they are extremely important, because sometimes the cost of dealing with a residue can make the whole recycling effort prohibitively expensive. So we are able to take all that mixtures. And not only does that mean that we can have low input costs, but it also means that we help the world to recover as much of the precious raw material that we throw away altogether every day. To top it off, we do not even need to clean it that much. We actually are happy to take some food residue, and some actually help our process to run better. Same for paper. Many of the plastics that we are using to wrap things in are multi-layers. You don't see it, but they are complicated pieces of art, as a matter of fact, that are, with one downside, completely impossible to reprocess by most means. We don't care. If there's ink of it, no problem. If there's glue, we don't even need to dry the feedstock, which is simple treatment, but it costs you a lot of energy if you don't watch out. So there is tremendous benefit to the left-hand side. Then we go into our process, and contrary to many other ones, our process is a rather mild one. We can process our plastic waste at temperatures that are such low that we do not lose anything to charring or to gases that have no particular value. You only have to burn them at actually a CO2 penalty. Not such a thing in ours. And also the heat demand of our process is quite low, much lower than the conventional processes for chemical recycling. And that contributes to a lower carbon footprint, which is where the world is looking for. The real miracle comes at the end, because the product that we do make is actually ready to use. It is a clean product that can immediately be processed, for instance, into steam cracking, which is the sort of roundabout for carbon at the beginning of all the chemical value chains, where you build the essential Lego blocks to make all the chemical products as we know them today. Competitive processes like pyrolysis require very costly after treatment to both purify and upgrade to the standards that we got straight out of our process. And those are huge capital items, and they are huge OPEX items, and they are also typically steps that come with significant emissions. So if we can avoid all those, that takes out a lot of the cost. And then, yes, we take in some difficult materials and we take in some dirt. And where does it go? Well, it actually goes in a phase, an aqueous phase, a water phase that we separate very easily at the end of the day. And that is then carrying the leftovers of the leftovers of the leftovers. And those 6 unique benefits make it financially possible to actually process plastic waste and to deal with those streams that others cannot even touch. And when I saw this, I said, okay, to myself, let's see whether it is true. And I can actually only tell you that now that I'm here for almost half a year, it is all true, and it is even more true than I thought. Maybe we can go to the next slide over, because then the question raises, what are we going to do with it? Well, and we have to realize that if you are in recycling, you are a part of a wheel. And you do have to realize the value with that whole cycle. In the past, we would say in a very old-fashioned way, you have to work with a whole value chain. Today, we have to work with a value cycle. And in that cycle are a whole raft of parties, and each of them have a huge interest to work with our technology. Let me start at the top right-hand corner. There you see the big petrochemical houses. They make those Lego blocks. They are really concerned to have access to renewable feedstock, because that is what the market is going to ask from them. And that is not easy. And well, as I told you, we do convert plastic waste. We convert a difficult waste. We do it with high yield. That is precisely what they need. Maximum return of carbon atoms back to their doorstep. And that's what we do. Then there's people who design the articles. They buy the plastic from the petchem people and says, well, I am going to make the packaging. And they have to think of the design of the future, because many of the designs today, they are very clever and very advanced and very good to, for instance, preserve food, but they're usually very, very complicated and difficult to recycle. Now, they are very happy to see one technology in the market that actually deals with these complex designs, because it allows them to continue supplying a very high level of packaging and protection, while still making sure that it all can be brought back. And we work with those because they want to know whether all their clever tricks can actually go through our process. The third one are the retailers. These are the big brands, the fast-moving consumer good companies, the durable good manufacturers, the people that make cars, all under expensive brands. They represent tremendous value. And whereas the world is still discussing a lot about circularity and how to make it, one thing seems to be sure. These people here, these brand owners as we call them, they are going to pay the bills. They will have to pay to make sure that every piece of packaging that they put into the market is going to be recyclable. And this is no small beer. I give you an example from Europe, from my own country, where every fast-moving consumer goods company has to pay 1,000 euros for every ton of plastic they send into the market. And those 1,000 euros are used to collect the stuff and to send it to the best possible destination. And by creating a better possible destination, we are going to save cost for that whole value chain. At the bottom, we see the consumers, you and I at home. And of course, we all want to do good for the world. It's a bit difficult. We also don't want to pay too much. We are represented by our governments, by our NGOs and the consumer organizations, and they put demands. We are talking with them and they like what they see. They want to see powerful techniques to make sure that we can on one hand enjoy the performance that we are used to from our packaging and whatever else. The other hand, to have it responsibly in a circular fashion and also for an affordable cost. And that is why our technology is so good. Next one, we are now at 1/4 in the hour. Waste management companies, they are getting all that waste in, and they have to make sure that they split it in such a way that not only it is properly separated and taken care of, but also that it is done at the lowest possible cost, and that they can make a decent living of it, at the same time that we can pay it. Well, as I already said, whereas some of the purer fractions of our waste can be happily recycled and create value, it is really in the residue that the devil is. Because that is where you have the impossible streams, where you find a lot of moist paper and dirty food residues, and where you have wastewater. It is in that residue that actually the clue is to make that whole cycle work and spin.
Eric?
So these people are very interested.
May I ask, can you hear me, Eric?
Yes, certainly.
Would you tell the audience on our customer engagement who we have on this circle? Perhaps?
I will say where they are from, where they sit.
Yes. Yeah.
So that comes on the next page. But and the last one, and that is actually a category that still is shaping up, is the people that will actually build these chemical recycling factories. Typically, these factories are actually a little bit too small for the giant petchems, whereas the waste companies do not really want to touch it. So a new class of chemical operators is going to spring up, and we will be the ones that supply them with the technologies. Now, it is along those cycles where we are finding our partners. And our partners will have a variety of purposes. At this moment, we see a lot of support from these monomer and plastic players. That is where we have at least 3 of our customer engagements today, because they are used to the whole idea of playing chemistry. At the same time, for them, it is probably the closest. They are the ones that need to secure that. We are also working now with a plastic converter who really wants to know whether what he is doing is the right thing to do. We are talking with a consumer goods company who often sit on manufacturing waste, and we have one of those in our state as well. We are talking to governments to tell that we are doing the right thing on behalf of the voters, i.e. the consumers that we are seeing there. We're also starting to talk to the waste management companies. And we have no specific engagement there yet, but we expect to have them soon. And maybe we can then see what is going to happen. If you click one more over, you will see that what is going to happen now. In summary, we see a very high interest along this value cycle. And as I said, we have at least 5 active engagements, but we have more than 20 active customer engagement dossiers. Customers that have expressed their interest, and they are on every possible corner of the circle. That sounds very strange because circles don't have corners, but each of those, 7 come with people that want to talk to us because we do address the issues that the market is seeing today. So these customer engagements, these people start with an evaluation, and that is also the stage where they do not want us to disclose their names. I must say we have not failed a single evaluation. Most routes to recycle plastics in a chemical way are based on 70-year-old refining technology. The crude methods that were used in the early days to squeeze more gasoline out of crude oil. And if you were to say to me today, okay, there are 71 companies out there who are trying to do that. 70 of them use that old-fashioned technology, and there's only one that uses the technology that Aduro has not only invented, but also protected and progressed significantly. This is very much our land, and many others do variations on one and technology that in endless variations. I have not seen anything that comes even close to what we are doing.